Peace, love, and light coming on here to bring a message about beginnings and endings. And I received this message because a lot of us are getting ready to experience new beginnings. Like you're going through a very powerful transformation at this time. And I know that's been said before, and for whatever reason, I feel like this time it's so different, with the energy of this year and the level of consciousness that's been raised. The transformation that's taking place this year is like no other, and many of you are getting ready to experience new beginnings. And what you may be noticing is that this whole aspect of getting ready means that there are also things happening to prepare a place, or to prepare the energy for what's about to come. And the period of preparation for this beginning, or this transformation, is oftentimes one of the most challenging times in a cycle, right? We know that in a cycle there's beginnings, there's a middle, and there's the ending. Now, the ending part oftentimes can really be one of the most challenging, because oftentimes we get stuck, we get used to, we get complacent, to whatever was taking place in the last cycle. And this is where it's like your energies are really fighting to continue to elevate, so that way you can prepare for the new cycle. Because the new cycle, what makes it new is that there are new things happening, new energies. You're getting ready to be gifted something that you haven't been gifted before. But before you do that period of transition oftentimes can be the most challenging. And it oftentimes requires the most focus on your part, and also requires you to connect deeply on a spiritual level. Because if you're not cautious, that period between the ending and the new cycle is a sensitive period, to where you may find yourself going back to something, going back to old patterns that no longer serves you, while your spirit guides are trying to push you forward so that way you can start something new. There's a part of you, there's a part of us that oftentimes gets so complacent doing what it does. We're used to doing what what we do. There's that part of us that's tempted to be complacent, because
what is the next step from here?
And those are all questions part of us, to do with beginnings. Likes the idea,
and so many of you may be experiencing or have recently experienced.
But in order for us to grow, and in order for us to grow and start a new cycle,
you may even
this
be having
requires
an encounter
that
with
we
some energy of
release
death.
a lot of things, and we release control,
this in
and
the
we
energy
release
of the
the
collective.
idea of being used.
There's no
to
better
things.
time for you
Because
to
if
get
you
clarity
get stuck getting
than
comfortable with
when
things
you
that
are
you know,
facing
you will never embrace
when you are
the
facing
new
a
cycle.
major ending.
And I feel like for many of us,
where
that's exactly
you're
what's
at the
happening.
crossroad between
We're finding and seeing the
beginning of
challenge
something new
and
you're
embracing
facing
the
the end
changes
of
that are
something
taking
else.
place to get us ready for the new
And
cycle.
what brought
Right?
upon this
And for many who are
is
saying, well,
that,
there's always a
I
new cycle, that's
recently,
correct. You're always
experienced,
ending cycles
and I was
and
actually
beginning
in
new
the car
cycles.
experience,
Specifically for
collision.
right now, it's really
And,
important that you
my car
connect
was
to
completely,
the end result,
it's
or
not, let's just say it's not drivable.
the beginning.
And
Because
and
unless
this
you
actually,
do that, then you'll be tempted to kind of like fall
energy
back to a place, a person, a thing that seems very familiar because it's comfortable. Okay, so be cautious with being in this zone of comfort, because that zone of comfort is the very thing that could literally put you to sleep and keep you from progressing, right? Now, when you're speaking of comfort, what do people typically do when they're comfortable, right? They start to fall asleep, because there's nothing challenging them. There's nothing, really pressing the button to assure that, they change. Okay, so be cautious not to get into this comfort zone. And so for many of us, you will notice that period between The old cycle and the new cycle is often the most challenging, because there are things that you cannot and you will not be able to enter the new cycle with, and that is facts. You're not meant to enter the new cycle with it. You're not supposed to enter the new cycle with it, because if you were, it wouldn't be called a new cycle. Now, that's not to say that you're going to release everything or lose everything. That's just saying that we have to be ready and willing at all times, at any time, to release and let go to what no longer serves us. And this is our way of saying yes to the universe. This is our way of saying, I'm walking in trust and knowing that all things work in my favor. All things are working, for my elevation. And again, this came about because of my own personal story of now having to shift my energy, because things are no longer functioning the way they used to. Things are no longer functioning the way they used to, because because now the vehicle that I have is no longer here. And then in that process, I'm also finding out that there's a lesson. There's something that the universe wanted to bring to my attention. And this is the way that the universe had to bring it to my attention, was to basically disrupt everything. And you will find that the universe will disrupt everything. Okay? And many of you will know that this resonates. The universe will disrupt everything to teach you the lesson that is needed, to show you what you need to see. And oftentimes that happens when we're not either we're not willing or we're not able to see it, or perhaps that's just the way it was supposed to happen. Okay? So many of you may be going through your own personal experiences where you are seeing this death and rebirth energy take place within your own lives. You're seeing how transitions are happening, like in real time. And many of us are not really ready for that because we weren't taught that. Just know that this period of transition is necessary for the new beginnings. And, whatever it is that you may not understand or overstand at this point, there is going to come a point where you do overstand. And that's it. You're going to get to a point where you overstand. And oftentimes when you get to that point, it's when the new cycle begins and you realize that the universe was teaching you a lesson. And that's the message.